Rob Lee Hawking and Phil Savage, the executive director of the Reese Senior Bowl, here from SEC Media Days in Hoover, Alabama. And Phil, it's kind of a year of transition for the SEC this year. Last year you had all the big name quarterbacks, A.J. McCarron and Aaron Murray, Zach Mettenberger, and of course Johnny Manziel. Those guys are all gone, and you look down the list, some of these players, and you're like, you know, the average fan may not have heard of some of these guys. It's starting with the quarterback's position.
Yeah, lack of experience at the quarterback position, but on the flip side, it's all about the running backs in the SEC this year. Todd Gurley, Keith Marshall at Georgia, T.J. Yeldon, Derrick Henry at Alabama, Cameron Artis-Payne, Corey Grant at Auburn, Kelvin Taylor, Mack Brown, Matt Jones at Florida, Mike Davis at South Carolina, Alex Collins and Jonathan Williams at Arkansas, Leonard Fournette at LSU, expected to make big things happen there in Bayou Country. But this is a league filled with running back talent, and I'm expecting these offensive coordinators to have these inexperienced quarterbacks turn and hand the ball to these guys that can take it to the house.
So you mentioned coordinators, and a lot of people may not pay attention to that, but some interesting coordinator shifts and moves this year that may have an effect on how this league plays out.
Yeah, only one head coaching change in the league this year. Derek Mason takes over for James Franklin at Vanderbilt, but three spotlight coordinators in my mind. Number one, Kurt Roper at Florida. He's been brought in by Will Muschamp basically to save the day. They've been good on defense. They've been horrific on offense. He's got to repair that offense with Jeff Driscoll and make them more productive there with the Gators. Lane Kiffin at Alabama comes in, tries to get his career restarted. He's got a young quarterback in Jacob Coker transferring from Florida State. He's got to get the tide rolling again on the offensive side of the ball. And then Jeremy Pruitt, who has Alabama ties via Florida State, is now at Georgia. The Bulldogs are hoping that he can fix their defense and make them more of a balanced team going into 2014.
He of course, has been a part of 3 straight national championships. So, you know, Mark Richt's like, come on, man, let's make it 4. And from a Reese Senior Bowl standpoint, we like to come to these SEC Media Days and all the other media days around the country and talk to players who could be potential prospects for our game. Who stands out here out of the SEC, which you know is always loaded with talent?
Yeah, some names that maybe the fans are not as familiar with. You know, Texas A&M has Cedric Aboyhe, outstanding offensive tackle. Arkansas has Trey Flowers, a very good defensive end. LSU, they've got a strong offensive line led by Lyle Collins, who will play tackle for them, but likely will be a guard in the pros. You go up to Tennessee, A.J. Johnson's been extremely productive for the Vols over the last 3 years. We talked about Zadarius Smith and Bud Dupree at Kentucky. South Carolina has A.J. Cann, J.T. Surratt, a couple of seniors on the offensive and defensive lines. So this league, again, will have talent. Auburn, C.J. Uzama on offense. Defensively, Gabe Wright and several others that we'll be taking a look at. So again, the SEC will be well represented in Mobile come late January.
Real quick, let me get your thoughts. I know it's only July and everyone likes to hear predictions. I mean, is the SEC a little bit more wide open in the past? Who do you see as kind of being the favorites? Is it the usual suspects?
I think it's completely wide open in the SEC West. I think you could make the argument that 6 of the 7 teams, I'm going to keep Arkansas out of the conversation, although I think they'll be improved. But I think you can make a case for or against the other 6 teams. Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. All of those teams have a shot. On the SEC East side of things, it sounds as if it's more South Carolina, Georgia, but Florida certainly has enough to compete if they can get themselves together offensively. Vanderbilt has been solid. Tennessee maybe have a surprise or 2. And then, of course, Kentucky is on that side of the conference as well. But to me, it's Georgia, South Carolina in the East, Bama, Auburn, LSU, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Ole Miss in the West. I think it's really up for grabs on that side of it.
Very hard to predict. We can make one prediction. It's going to be fun to see it all play out.